Hey everyone, welcome to another painting right here, and we're gonna paint some reflections on this panoramic scene of Singapore. And we're gonna start by using different vibrant colors like orange in order to depict these reflections like red, orange, blue and yellow. So we're gonna start from the left hand side, and we'll see here that we have this orange on the extreme left hand side, and right now I'm using this purple in order to help me to paint this area which is just beside that orange, and we have all these dark browns that are depicting the water right now. So the thing is, for reflections we'll need to leave white. Okay, as you can see right now, and I'm just trying to leave white those streaks that you're seeing, and we have two of those very thin kind of streaks that show the reflection of these lights. And again, just using that brush to very quickly make sure that we have this orange kind of reflection that is coming from there, and just using this brush and trying to depict all these reflections of different sizes, as you can see right now. Beside that orange part that I've just did, I have this small little reflection that is left white. So we'll move on to the rest. So right here we have all these streaks that show all these reflections, and just beside that light orange that we did, we have this darker orange. And then we'll move on to other areas where we'll have all these darker kind of places that I did, and then I'm just going to use that brush to paint an alternating kind of reflection between the lights and the darks. And the darks are actually forming the water itself, but the lights are actually the reflections of those lights coming from those buildings, right? So we need to make all these shapes look very attractive and very nice by making it look long and sharp at the end, and in the middle part is pretty thicker than the other parts. So we'll need to have all these browns and orange, and that will make up the water that is the surroundings. And right now we are moving on to this part of the reflection where it's slanting slightly towards to the right. That is because we would want to have some of the, because of the perspective, so all these reflections to the side is kind of like slanting towards the middle. So we have this dark green. Again, we don't want to use the same colors to depict the same kind of use the same color to depict the entire water area. So again, from the dark brown I'm transitioning to the dark green, and again from the dark green you can see at the top it's slightly lighter green, and I use a lighter color to paint the inner area of the light. So right there, in the middle part of the reflection is actually lighter than the rest. So I actually used some water to kind of like wash away the middle part so that it becomes lighter in the middle. And that is how we actually make the light more bright, by using the water to remove some of the excess yellow pigments or the excess orange pigments, and that will help us to have this very nice kind of reflections and lights, and that will really give us some very nice lights that is forming on the water surface right now. So using my brush, I'm just trying to make sure that we have all these light yellows that are forming on the water surface, and I'm just trying to make sure we have all these to use my brush to make sure we have all these light kind of colors. And I'm just very quickly going to move on, and just before that, just try to make sure that the shape of the reflection is nice. And we're just going to use our fingers to kind of like make sure we have all these nice shapes, especially at the end. And right now, just using my brush to do all these horizontal kind of strokes into the middle of the reflections. So this will show the kind of water movement, and just very quickly using my brush to kind of like dip into more colors, and we're going to proceed to do more of those reflections as we move towards the right hand side. Right, so we have these yellows and we have all these dark greens, and again trying to darken the area between those 2 orange layers. And after that, just trying to make sure that we have all these dark blues and dark greens, and that will give us all these nice water kind of colors. So right now I'm using this light blue or cerulean blue for the reflection right there. And we have all these different colors, as I mentioned earlier, not just yellows and orange. So making sure we have all these strokes in. So once it's dry, we can use the color pencil to kind of like touch up a little bit by drawing all these water kind of movements on the reflections, and that will give us a more realistic depiction of all these kinds of reflections. So using my brush, I'm just trying to make sure we have all these dark blues in, and then we are going to also make sure that we have these dark reds, we have these yellows, and we have these dark browns, and we have all these reds, and that will give us a very vibrant kind of reflection. So as I mentioned, I used horizontal strokes, and this will give us this very nice kind of reflections, water movement on the reflection itself, as you can see on those reflections on the left hand side. So right now, just using my brush to make sure that we have all these kinds of colors in, and making sure that we have again all these orange and browns, just trying to make sure that all these colors and all these strokes are added in. Right, so when we have all these different colors, again, that helps us to have a very vibrant kind of depiction of the colors, and that will give us some very nice kind of visual effect, not just using the same colors like yellow and orange and red, but we have blues, we have pinks, we have purples, as we'll see later. So again, trying to use my brush to kind of like press in a little bit to make sure that we have this long little stroke that somehow pushes the water away, so that we have pushes the pigment away, so that we have this very nice shape of the reflection that is forming on the water when we actually go on it a few times, and that will give us some very nice and very interesting kinds of render of the reflections. Just using my brush to very quickly make sure that we have everything being touched up, and we are now moving on towards the right hand side. So the main thing about reflections is that it needs to have a very nice shape. So it needs to start thin, and then in the middle it becomes bigger, and then it becomes smaller and thinner, and that will give us a very elegant shape. And when we combine that with all these different kinds of colors, that will give us a very nice kind of reflection. So using that brush, just trying to make sure we have all these brown pigments painted in, and then making sure we have all these yellow reflections and orange and dark purples and so on and so forth. So that will give us all these very nice kind of reflections. And as we move towards the middle part, that is where the Singapore flyer is. So after this dry, again using my color pencil to make sure that there are all these colors that are added in. Right, so using the color pencil again, making sure we have more than one color inside that reflection. We have red, this light red combined with yellow, so that will also give us some very nice color change. And beside that, we have this blue, and right now we are using this light purple to kind of like make the reflections for the Singapore flyer. So right now we have all these very nice kinds of light purples. So in the middle there, you can see that I actually left it white, whereas the purple is actually surrounding the outer part. So that is actually another thing that we need to take note, to make sure that we have all these light tones and dark tones within the reflections. And at the left hand side right there, again using that yellow to combine that yellow reflection with making sure that it blends well with the purple one there. So there's this yellow tint that combines the yellow and the purple. And so we have this very nice blended effect using my brush, just trying to make sure that we have all these pinkish kind of purples and blues and yellows, and using that pink for the part that is near to the ground. So again, using my brush, just trying to make sure that we have all these purples, light purples in the middle, whereas the surrounding area is always darker because, you know, we want to keep the middle part brighter and lighter. And you can see right now that all these reflections are really forming this very nice kind of colors and patterns on the water. Right, so the thing is, why did I choose this piece? Because I was attracted by those reflections that are coming out from the buildings. And you can see Singapore is a very cosmopolitan city with all these lights that are coming out during the evening time, and before the sun is actually completely set. You can see the dark bluish sky with the orange. That is actually making up a very nice evening sky, and that will give us this very cool kind of you know, evening scene. And of course the lights are just on from all the buildings, and that will give us this very nice kind of you know, lighting effect. So as we move towards the right hand side, we have all these dark blues that is combined with the light blue. So again, painting the water surface first, which makes up the bottom part, before we actually move on to the reflections. So just trying to touch up and darken the purple tone right there before we move on to the right hand side. So using my brush, just trying to make sure that we have all these, you know, different things, different colors, and now trying to combine the orange with the blue. And so we have, you know, the use of this brush to help us with the combining of this orange, and again trying to make sure that they combine with a soft edge, so making sure these two colors are blended together. And the thing is, when we use Arches paper, so this is the Arches paper that I use, the combining kind of effect between these two colors, between two wet colors, is the best when we use this Arches paper. And just trying to make sure that we have all these strokes that are coming out from the top down towards the orange kind of reflection that we have there. So showing all these, you know, buildings that are having all these brown kind of reflections on the water surface. And right now moving on towards this building. So this brown building right there is casting this dark brown shadow. And again, this dark brown shadow is not entirely dark brown, because we are going to have some light browns in the middle, and that will again give us all these variations within that same reflection. So leaving white some areas because of the lights that is coming out from that building. And we are going to use the brush to very quickly make sure that we have all these white kind of reflection that is combining with the brown with a soft edge, so that it's well blended again using that brush, and using this red paint again painting over that area that was left white. So we're almost done with these reflections on the water, and you can see right there we have these browns and we have these light browns and all these, you know, different kinds of techniques that I used, mostly blending techniques, and also using of the color pencil, and of course the lifting method to lift up some colors that are in excess in the reflection itself. So we have three kind of techniques that I use to make all these reflections: the lifting method, the blending method, and also the use of color pencils to help us with the horizontal strokes and adding a little bit more details, and of course the correct combination of colors. So making sure we have all these nice reflections that are fully blended in, as we now move towards the final part of our painting right here. So that's how I actually paint all these reflections. Hey everyone, it's KY Tom here. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed my video, please hit the like button and comment down below. Do consider to subscribe to my channel for more art videos. Check out the links on the description below to find out more about my art, and I hope to see you in the next one.